The old vet is overreacting, they muttered at the emergency meeting as Dr. Williams tried to explain the biological threat. Watching innocent animals suffer broke his heart, but nobody knew he was a former military medic who'd seen biological warfare firsthand. From which city in the world are you watching this story today? If stories like this move you, consider subscribing to Unseen Legends for more tales of quiet heroes walking among us. Friday morning, 6:30 a.m. The rural veterinary clinic in Millbrook, Montana was beginning another busy day. Dr. Robert Williams, 68 years old, was preparing for his morning rounds across the farming community. With his weathered hands, gentle manner with animals, and decades of experience, he looked like the quintessential country veterinarian. He had been serving this community for 15 years, and to local farmers and ranchers, he was an indispensable figure. Nobody knew Robert's past. To them, he was just Doc Williams, the reliable veterinarian who made house calls at all hours, delivered calves in snowstorms, and never charged struggling farmers full price. No one knew that between 1975 and 2005, he had served as a U.S. Army combat medic and later as a biological warfare specialist, treating soldiers exposed to chemical and biological weapons in conflicts around the world. This morning started like any other, but by 8 a.m., Robert's phone was ringing with emergency calls. Doc Williams, this is Jim Patterson from the Double P Ranch. Something's wrong with my cattle. 20 head are down, acting real strange. Strange how, Jim? Foam at the mouth, muscle spasms, some kind of respiratory distress. Never seen anything like it. Robert's medical training immediately triggered alarm bells. Those symptoms weren't typical of common livestock diseases. I'll be right there. During the 20-minute drive to Patterson's ranch, Robert received 3 more calls with similar reports. The Morrison Farm, the Johnson Dairy, and the Rodriguez sheep operation, all reporting identical symptoms across different animal species. When Robert arrived at the Patterson Ranch, what he saw confirmed his worst fears. The cattle displayed systematic neurological symptoms, respiratory failure, and chemical burns around their mouths and nostrils. This wasn't disease, it was poisoning. Jim, when did this start? Last night around midnight. Started with the animals closest to the north pasture, then spread. Any unusual activity lately? Strangers, vehicles, aircraft. Well, there was a truck yesterday afternoon. Said they were from the agricultural department, doing some kind of soil testing. Robert's blood ran cold. Soil testing that resulted in systematic animal poisoning wasn't legitimate agricultural research. He collected blood samples, tissue specimens, and environmental samples with the methodical precision that had made him an outstanding combat medic. His analysis revealed organophosphate compounds, nerve agent residues, and biological markers that shouldn't exist in rural Montana. By noon, Robert had visited 4 affected properties. The pattern was unmistakable, deliberate biological and chemical weapons testing using livestock as subjects. He called the county health department. This is Dr. Williams. We have a biological emergency in Millbrook County. Multiple farms affected, systematic poisoning, possible bioweapons testing. Dr. Williams, those are serious allegations. What's your basis for this assessment? Robert hesitated. Revealing his military background meant exposing the quiet civilian life he'd built. I have medical training that allows me to recognize biological warfare agents. What kind of training? Army combat medic, biological warfare specialist, 30 years military service. There was a pause. Dr. Williams, we'll send a team immediately. While waiting for authorities, Robert continued his investigation. The scope was larger than initially thought. 12 farms across 3 counties, over 300 animals affected, and growing. At 2 p.m., a joint team arrived. CDC, FBI, and military biological response units. Team leader Dr. Sarah Martinez approached Robert. Dr. Williams, we need your assessment. Our preliminary test confirm your suspicions. This is definitely bioweapons testing. Agent used, modified strain of hemorrhagic fever virus, combined with organophosphate nerve agents, military-grade, sophisticated engineering. Robert wasn't surprised. Deployment method, aerosol dispersion from vehicles posing as agricultural inspectors. They've been systematically testing different agents across rural communities. Casualty assessment, so far, only animals. But Dr. Williams, this appears to be preparation for something much larger. Human testing, that's our fear. Your rapid identification prevented escalation. Dr. Martinez continued. Sir, your file shows extraordinary service, 3 Bronze Stars, Purple Heart, biological warfare expertise that saved countless lives in Iraq and Afghanistan. That was a long time ago. Your skills just saved this community. How did you recognize the threat so quickly? Robert looked across the farmland where he'd spent 15 peaceful years caring for animals. Because I've seen what biological weapons do to living creatures. In war, I treated soldiers. Here, I treat animals, but the patterns of suffering are the same. Sir, we need your help. This attack was part of a larger domestic terrorism plot. Would you assist in the investigation? Robert considered. He'd retired from military service to find peace in rural veterinary medicine. but protecting innocent lives had always been his mission. What do you need? Help us identify other potential targets. Your knowledge of biological agents combined with your understanding of agricultural communities is unique. For the next week, Robert worked with federal authorities to uncover a domestic terrorist cell that had been testing biological weapons on rural communities across 5 states. His expertise helped identify the agents used, predict their effects, and develop treatment protocols. The investigation revealed that the terrorists planned to deploy modified biological weapons at the state fair, potentially exposing thousands of people to deadly agents. Dr. Williams, FBI agent Collins explained, "Your rapid response prevented a mass casualty event. The fair opens next week. Just doing what I was trained to do. You did much more. You proved that service doesn't end with retirement." When the story broke, Robert's community was shocked to learn their gentle veterinarian was a decorated war hero who'd prevented a bioterror attack. Farmer Jim Patterson approached him. "Doc, we had no idea you were military." "I was a medic, Jim. Same job then and now, taking care of living creatures." "But you're a hero." "I'm a veterinarian who cares about this community." Young rancher Maria asked, "Dr. Williams, will you teach us to recognize these threats?" "I'll teach you to be observant, to care for each other, and to protect what's important. Those are the most valuable skills." The CDC offered Robert a position heading their biological threat response program. "Part-time consulting," he agreed, "but I won't leave my animals or my community." "Why not pursue a bigger role?" "Because this is where I belong. In the military, I protected soldiers. Here, I protect farmers, ranchers, and their animals. Both missions matter." Millbrook's most extraordinary veterinarian, the man who prevents bioterror attacks while delivering calves. The truth was, Robert loved both forms of service. Sometimes the most extraordinary people hide in the most ordinary places. People like Robert care for animals in rural communities, but their eyes still scan for threats that others miss. Training never disappears. The instinct to protect never fades. The next time you meet your local veterinarian, remember, they might be protecting you in ways you never imagined. Have you ever discovered someone's background was completely different from their current profession? Tell us in the comments, and if you want to hear more stories about quiet protectors like Dr. Robert Williams, subscribe to Unseen Legends, because sometimes the best defense against biological warfare is found in a rural veterinary clinic. This story is a work of fiction created to honor the spirit of service. Any resemblance to actual persons or events is purely coincidental.